Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone. You are here for the Tardis Zone talks. The BBC bosses wanted a non-binary to play the Doctor, and obviously the Doctor Who magazine has come out today, and Phil Collinson and others have confirmed that during the audition process that they actually auditioned everybody from women to men, straight, gay, non-binary, whatever you want to, wherever you identify as. And one of the specifics was that this person had to be under 30 years of age as well for some weird reason. But we already know who has been cast, and that is Ncuti Gatwa. Of course, that news will give fuel to the fire to the people out there that are just not happy about anything that's happening with this era. And they'll say now that Ncuti was a diversity hire and all of this nonsense because, you know, the audition process has been open. Unlike the Chibnall process where he lied to us and told us he auditioned loads of other people, he didn't. He only auditioned women. It is nice to hear that RTD did look at all options, though. Because, you know, as I said, I firmly believe that the Doctor is a male character, right? But I know the way television is today, and somewhere down the line they might try this again, right? Now, if RTD was to do it, you know, would I be 100% like it's gonna work? No, obviously not. Because of what happened with the Chris Chibnall Whitaker era. But I don't think people need to be panicking. I don't think people need to jump to conclusions. I've already seen a lot of people jump to conclusions. I've actually got two. I've got an interesting tweet. I've covered the person's name because I don't want to embarrass them, but it's pathetic because again, this person is not happy with the audition process because they feel, and I quote, that they should have cast another woman in the role. We still have those fans floating about the fandom. They're never going to be happy with Arton. I just thought it was a bit funny, a little something to chuckle about. So I'll show you what they said. Also, fans still continue to dismiss David Tennant. There's actually a particular fan, again, I've covered the name to save them from embarrassment, wants people to stop calling David Tennant the 14th Doctor. They don't want you to acknowledge that he is the 14th Doctor because he happens to be a straight white male. And, you know, we can't have straight white males playing the Doctor anymore, apparently. So there you go. You know, so there's a lot of nonsense going on. That's what I mean, TARDIS time. That's the way I look at it. I think it is further proof that there is an agenda. There isn't an agenda behind this. He did look at everybody. Now, some fans will look at that, well, maybe he looked at everybody because he was looking to fight. Well, he cast Ncuti. Ncuti has an impressive CV. To me, it seems that he picked the best person that was available out of that audition process. Look, fans will read into it. Fans will make their opinions. Some fans have already made their position clear. They think this is a sign that Doctor Who is down the tubes. I actually got sent when I put the tweet up about. I actually put up a tweet and says, well, that's not what you should be casting on anyway. You should be casting the best person for the job, and you should always cast the best person for the job. And I stick by that. You should always cast the best person for the job. And if you look at Ncuti's CV and the awards he's won, seems to me they've picked the best person for the job. Of course, we won't know until we see him fully immersed in the role to see if the decision was right to cast Shooty. But again, we will give him a chance because obviously, we haven't seen anything except a little clip of him right at the end of those teasers, which I don't think is enough to judge on. A lot of people have judged on that clip and think that he's going to be useless. We've got other people thinking that, jumping the gun, that he's going to be this, that, and the other, and nobody knows. Again, it's all speculation from people out there, and we have to be very careful. Hi everyone, heading to lunch, but have a great afternoon. You too. It's the BBC that's the issue. RTD chose his doctor. The BBC in charge of this show. It will go downhill. See, this is the thing though. We do know that BBC aren't in charge of this show. So again, while it is a BBC brand show, and they may have had, BBC, people cannot be naive to think that BBC are not going to have any input into this version of Doctor Who. Of course they are. They've had the show in their possession for over 50 years. They're giving it to someone else in RTD and Bad Wolf Productions to do something with it. But there's no way that they're just handing it over without stating that they'll have say in some of the stuff that goes on. But at the end of the day, RTD did say this in an interview. He said he was the boss. Any choices that were made were down to him, right? And I believe that. He wouldn't, people say he'll cover for the BBC because he has a great relationship with the BBC. Yes, but he's also called the BBC out at times, right? RTD just he's actually like me. He's actually like me. He just says what's on his mind and doesn't think of the consequences until after the fact. You get your point and your opinions out there. That's what RTD is like. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Sometimes it can get you into trouble. I've often got into trouble as well, as you know. It can get you into trouble, but it's coming from the heart. It's coming from the heart, and nobody should ever be ridiculed for that. At the end of the day, he wears his heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he speaks and shoots from the hip, just like I do. So he wouldn't be coming out and saying he's in charge. People shouldn't worry about this. This is, to me, you could look at it this way. This is RTD. Remember, right? This is how I actually do look at it. RTD has been under a lot of pressure from these fans ever since him and David Tennant's return was announced. We've seen these fans constantly attack RTD and David Tennant, and they're still doing it today. If you go onto Twitter, you will see it, that they're still talking about RTD and David Tennant in disgusting terms, right? For me, right, because I know RTD is clever, and this is what I would do, I would put that information out about the audition process. Because the fact that it's even acknowledged that they were looking at non-binary people and God knows who else at the audition, right? Those fans are that fickle, because we know them, they're that fickle, that they'll lap it up anyway. They'll lap it up and they'll be giving him praise for even looking, even though he's chosen Shooty as the doctor. So that's the way I tend to look at it. Now, if we're proven wrong, of course, as I've always said, if we're proven wrong about this whole era and it turns out to be a disaster, we will say it is. But for now, we've nothing really to go on. But that's the way I look at that situation. That is probably RTD's way of trying to not fan the flames, but to ease the flames a bit. Because these fans haven't stopped since day one. Remember, a lot of them believe that RTD should have brought a woman in to validate Jodie Whittaker, and they're angry about that. So they've been at him and David Tennant from day one. And this could be their way, the production team, to try and quell some of that. And I wouldn't put it past RTD to do something like that. But he wouldn't just do it. He wouldn't just come out and say it for the sake of saying it. This is the difference between Chibs and RTD. If RTD and Phil Collinson are saying that they looked at everybody, right? They looked at all genders and all of that, right? They did. They did exactly that, right? When Chibs told us that, he didn't. He didn't. He didn't. Have you noticed, actually, we always, even under Moffat and RTD, we heard all the rumours of all the people that were supposed to be the doctor, and years later come out and be confirmed that they either turned it down or they didn't want to be the doctor, or whatever the reason was, right? Or there was some conflict of it, or some conflict they couldn't do it, right? Have you noticed with Jodie Whittaker's audition, we've never heard, the only other name that we've ever heard connected to that role was Olivia Colman, right? But we've never heard any other people's names connected to that job. That's because Chibnall even admitted in an interview that the only reason why he took is because he could cast the female doctor. Then he goes back on it a couple of weeks later when he gets called out for it and says, oh no, yeah, I might have picked the female doctor, but we did audition men. Well, who are these men you auditioned? Because their names have never surfaced in the 5 years since, right? This is the difference. We will hear different names come out after this. We will hear who was in line other than Shooty, right? Because that's the way we always know. Same with Moffat, right? It's weird that we didn't hear anything. I've always said that, man. It's a bit weird. It's always been a little bit weird. Jodie never auditioned for the role. He couldn't get Olivia, so he gave it to Jodie. Well, that's what I have always said, and that's what I suspect happened. Olivia was his first choice. She apparently had worries and concerns, and she didn't want to be the first token female doctor as such. She didn't want it to become that. So apparently she turned it down. And then, of course, he'd worked with Jodie Whittaker before. I don't think he's worked with many actresses, Chibnall, and he knew Whittaker well. So he thought, well, you know, I've worked with her before. You know, I kind of know what she's about. I'll give her the role. And that's what I actually believe happened. Right? Peter Capaldi was kicked out to the turf, out with the old and in with the new. Right? Because remember, when Chibs first got the job, Peter Capaldi came out and said he couldn't wait to work with him. 6 weeks later, Peter Capaldi is in a BBC studio, or he's in a radio station studio, and he's crying his eyes out, announcing to the fandom that he's leaving the show. Right? Don't care. People said that he left. Then the newspaper articles was the best part, actually, because they tried to make an excuse of bringing his age into it, because they're a bunch of ageist wankers. Right? They tried to bring his age into it and saying that filming was extremely difficult and it takes a lot out of you. Now, Matt Smith did confirm that it does, and David Tennant and all the other doctors. But I'm telling you now, there's no way that Peter Capaldi would have just gave up that role because he thought filming was a bit hard. He'd done it all this time, right? He would have left on his own. I reckon we probably would have got Peter Capaldi if Moffat had decided to stay, just say, and at that stage, maybe it would have been best if the show ended, because it wouldn't have been fair to Capaldi. But I do believe Capaldi had another 2 seasons in him, at least. Right? At least one more anyway after Series 10. He had another one. And if you look in Series 10, he wasn't running around as much in Series 10 because in 3 fucking episodes, he was blind. So there were ways around. So I've never bought the excuse that the filming got too much for him. The newspapers are just a bunch of ageist idiots that use that as an excuse to cover for the fact that Chris Chibnall had decided that the best person for the role of the Doctor was a woman. So I'm glad RTD has come out and he's given us an insight into the auditioning process and says, yeah, we have looked at everybody. We've looked at men and women. We've looked at non-binary, lesbian, gay, straight, I'm glad he's come out and said that because he's being transparent about it. Now we know the process of what they were looking for, right? Now I will say this though. If that is the only thing that you are looking for though, it's more, the doctor is more than just picking a man. Say for example, just use a man for the example, right? Yeah, you pick a man for the role, but if he's not the right bloke for the role, then it's not going to work. So we have to trust RTD when he tells us that Shooty is the best choice out of that audition process, and give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what happens. I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt anyway. I'm glad he's kind of come out because it quells these fans a little bit, because they are so fickle. Trust me, they'll lock that up. That when they open that Doctor Who magazine, or well, they won't be actually buying a personal copy of the magazine. They'll see screenshots on Twitter. When they see that, they'll be retweeting it. Oh, we love RTD. It's so considerate. Because they're fickle. Right? Anyway, just to show you this, because I thought this was funny. So, obviously, that news, as I said, hasn't gone down well with some. Because some people still believe and are still banging on that the next Doctor after Jodie Whittaker definitely should have been a woman, and we get this kind of thing. It's from someone that we all know, but I've covered their name because, I don't want to embarrass them. And of course, they'd be on Twitter playing the victim and telling everybody that I'm picking on them. So I've covered their name because, I don't want any grief coming my way. These people, they'll probably out themselves anyway, as they always do, because they're idiots. I cover their names so they're not outed, but they out themselves. So after we found out about the auditioning process, this was the response of someone on Twitter that a lot of people follow and comes out with absolute rubbish half of the time. But anyway, they're retweeting another popular page out there who actually facilitated in helping a woman be abused in the fandom. So they were talking. So as you can see, they were looking for younger. Most people we saw were under 30 years of age. Russell T. And then, of course, Phil Collinson added on to that and said that they looked at everybody. But then this idiot turned around and says, well, it kind of explains why we didn't get a female doctor after Jodie. I'm not sure this was the best approach. I'm sure Ncuti Gatwa will be an excellent doctor, but they should have auditioned exclusively women, so the female doctor concept could be established as a success. So I can actually break this tweet down. So basically what this person is actually saying, right, that they didn't like the approach because he didn't audition just exclusively women, then shows the fact that, and this is a person that supports Black Lives Matter, apparently, but then goes, I'm sure Ncuti Gatwa will be excellent as the doctor, but they should have auditioned exclusively for women. So this is a bloke that bangs on about diversity, but yet wants to take a role away from a black man because he wants to put another woman in there after the first female doctor had failed anyway, right? So you can read into that what you want, but then he says, so the female doctor concept could be established as a success. Established, not an actual success, folks. Established, because remember, everything that they talk about is smoke and mirrors. They want to give the illusion that this era of Doctor Who, that Jodie Whittaker was better than she actually was. I still see people today, Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker are actually trending, right? But they've been trending over a couple of weeks. It's not a day trend where people have been furiously retweeting their names and it comes up. This has been over a couple of weeks, but if you read them, right, the baffling thing is that they've decided they're not going to pick on Jodie Whittaker at all. it's all Chris Chibnall's fault. Now, in fairness, they're right. It is all Chris Chibnall's fault. But it's funny, right? They're acting as if she's the greatest actress ever. Saying how she was brilliant. She was just let down by very poor writing. The doctor of her generation was let down by poor writing. And these are check marks as well. And I'm like, is that the level of acting you actually think is good nowadays? Because that's Hallmark level acting. I mean, go and watch the Hallmark channel. You'd be fucking it. You'd be bloody blown away by the movies there, man. If you think that's great acting, she was crap. That's the bottom line. Jodie Whittaker, it doesn't matter whether she got good or bad scripts, right? Even decent scripts, right? And when I say decent, I'll throw in there Kablam, because that was popular until the end. I'll throw in even The Village of the Angels and maybe The Power of the Doctor, right? She was still bad. She was bad in every single one of those episodes, and they're considered the better episodes of her era. Anyway, then you've got this idiot who doesn't like David Tennant and says, may I propose the Fan versus DT2, my one-person crusade to eliminate the use of the number 14 in reference to David Tennant, and then someone underneath who they thought they would support them wrote no, right? And this nonsense has been going on. So they're trying to start a campaign to stop getting fans to using the term the 14th Doctor when talking about David Tennant. Right? Listen. Bottom line is this: David Tennant is the 14th Doctor. You may not like it, right? We didn't like when Jodie Whittaker was the Doctor. And I'm going to give you the advice that you gave us, right? If you don't like it, live, right? If you don't like it, set up a YouTube channel like I did and whinge and bitch about it on your YouTube channel, right? But the difference is, when I did it and when you do it, is we actually had legitimate concerns and arguments. Yous don't, and I'll tell you why yous don't. It's because RTD has proven himself in Doctor Who in the past because he was showrunner, and David Tennant is probably the most, if not the most popular New Who Doctor ever. Right? So when you come up with your arguments about David Tennant and RTD being wrong for Doctor Who, it's not the way to move the show forward, you're absolutely wrong. It is. There was so much damage done with the previous era that RTD is a big job to win fans back. And he is given, and yes, some of you have commented that, oh, he's given all the not my doctors what they want, a term that you're still using. But in fairness, that's what yous are now, because yous are complaining about David Tennant. Is that how it works? But you see, we don't call you not my doctors because we don't buy into that bullshit. You know, it's like when I see people posting up about people calling people not my doctors. Who cares, man? Let them call people not my doctors, right? The bottom line is, as I said, they don't even have a legitimate argument. We had when we were having our arguments 5 years ago. They don't, because David Tennant and RTD have already done it in Doctor Who. Chris Chibnall, yes, in fairness, wrote a few episodes, but he didn't really blow fans away. And as for Jodie Whittaker, she was never on Doctor Who, so she was a first-timer. So yes, we had legitimate concerns. David Tennant is not a first-timer on Doctor Who. He's appeared on Doctor Who now. How many times since he has left? He was definitely in the 50th, I know that. And I'm trying to think, was he in anymore? No, I don't think he was. But he was in the 50th after he left, right? And now he's back to save the show. If you have a problem with that, I suggest you don't let the door hitches on the way out. If not, and you just are going to stay in this fandom, well then, you know, have your complaints and your arguments all you want. But the fact of the matter is people can see right through you now. Right? You aren't actually having. See, here's the thing. I wouldn't have a problem with you guys if you actually had legitimate arguments and legitimate points to make and evidence to actually back it up. But you have none of that. Not like we did 5 years ago. It's time to let go. Jodie Whittaker is gone. Now, if she was your favourite doctor, all well and good. But the bottom line is that this show moves on whether you like it or not. We've had to deal with that for over 50 years as fans, over nearly 60 years now as fans, having to deal with change. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But it doesn't give you the excuse to act the way you are acting and send the death threats that you've sent. So, and Doctor Who's always been about change. Yeah, exactly. So get over it or leave and go and wreck another show and another fandom. Because we're sick and tired. Actually, both sides of the argument now are sick and tired of you stands. We've had enough of yous now. So you either get on board, right? You either get on board or leave. Because as I said, you don't even have a legitimate argument to have. So there's no point of even having arguments because you will lose every time. Because the fact of the matter is no matter how many times you scream and shout, Jodie Whittaker is gone. And she's not coming back. Well, I mean, she probably will be back for one last time, let's just say. But after that, she'll never be back. She's already ruled out Big Finish, and I think that's the fact as well. You know, if Big Finish brought her on board, sure, she's not going to do Big Finish any favors. To be quite honest with you, she'll sell to our stands if they're even interested in buying our audios. But that's all who will buy our audios. To be quite honest with you. It won't be hardcore Doctor Who fans. It's a shame because under a different writer, maybe she was given some direction. She could have been at least average. But we didn't even get that. So, I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It is all Chris Chibnall's fault because he gave her horrible scripts, but she's not blameless either. She was a crap actress. She'd never been given the job. She was over her head. I would have preferred Olivia Colman to take it, but I can understand why she didn't. Because who would want to be forever, known to be the woman that nearly destroyed Doctor Who? Because that's what Jodie Whittaker will always be known as. And even if another female doctor was to come along and be successful, Jodie Whittaker will still be the worst doctor of all time. Simple as that. She just wasn't good enough. None of them were good enough. None of those companions were good enough either. Even I said it, Bradley Walsh, I said it at the time, Series 11 out, I said even him, he wasn't good enough to be a companion. Wasn't. They're not the type of actors you should be getting in. Colin Baker was massively improved on Big Finish, so I would have gave her a chance. Yeah, it's all well and good saying that, Cinnamon, but who's going to buy? You've got to think of it. Big Finish needs to make money, not lose money. They've lost money the last 5 years. You put Jodie Whittaker on that and they lose money. So why would Big Finish take that risk? Right now, they've got Christopher Eccleston back, right? They've got David Tennant's wife now. She's come out with another Jenny series now. David Tennant has been coming out with audios as well. They've been doing all the other classic doctors. They don't need Jodie Whittaker, right? They don't even need Peter Capaldi right now, right? They've got Christopher Eccleston. he is popular. You know, he might be a bit of a douche, but he is a popular doctor, and everybody loves his doctor because he was the first doctor I knew who, and even I do. I love his doctor. I was devastated when he left. I was devastated, and that little skinny, scrawny thing with the hair came along. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to get into trouble now because I called him. I called him skinny. Apparently, you know, if you look at the definition of that, apparently it's a bad thing. You can't say that. But it's a joke in Doctor Who, as you know, for fans to have actually watched the show. But anyway, he came along, and I was gutted because I didn't. At the time I was like, oh yeah, man from Casanova. He's not good enough to be the Doctor. Of course, Christmas Invasion. He's not even in the episode that long, but the parts that he was in, he blew us away. And then he went on to become a fan favorite. Unfortunately, she's just not. Yeah, but that's Chibnall and his team's fault as well. Cinnamon. It was their job to make her likable. It was their job to make her commercially successful. But it was like, and I even said it at the time, where is her, does she have a PR team? Because she needs one. Because she keeps putting her foot in it. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, well, Chris Chibnall's our boss. Shouldn't he be reining her in a little bit? But he didn't seem to care because he was coming out with the same nonsense as well. But where was our PR team? Again, she didn't handle it right. She got off on the wrong foot with the fans straight away. Right? Straight away. The first thing that came out about, well, I'm not playing a gender. Not playing the gender. You know, and little girls now can look up to the Doctor. Because little girls never looked up to the Doctor before, lads and ladies. Oh shit, there's ladies in here. What are you doing in here? You shouldn't exist in the fandom. Did you not know that Doctor Who's a male fandom? Right? Doctor Who's a male show. Right? And we don't like women in this fandom. Funny how all of that argument that they had kind of like washed away. You know, the stupid little arguments that they had. Oh, that was the funny one. That was the funny one. Little girls can't look up the Doctor. Yeah, most of the people that were saying that bullshit were women that were watching the show for a very long time. Well, why are you watching the show? You obviously looked up to the Doctor. Now you'll obviously say you didn't look up to the Doctor. You looked up to the companions because the companions were strong. And I was living on a parallel universe and they did a female Doctor. They'd probably do it right. Chris Chibnall wasn't the man to do a female Doctor anyway, though. That's the problem there. And whether fans agree whether the Doctor should change gender or not, if you had a different showrunner, someone that understood women, because Chris Chibnall's married apparently, isn't he? And he has kids and stuff like that. Well, you'd never know that Chris Chibnall was married to a woman, right? Because he doesn't know how to write a woman. Full stop. Right? Because that wasn't a female Doctor that we see in the last 5 years. There was nothing female about that Doctor. Right? So he might have cast a woman, but he didn't write her like a woman. And that's how you know you got a poor writer there. Right? If you're a good enough writer, like RTD, you're able to write all different types of characters. Male, female, or whatever you identify as nowadays. Right? That shows how good you are. I don't know. We will never actually get over the fact how baffling that decision was to bring him in. I still don't get it to this day. I never will. I don't know what Moffat was playing at, I don't know why you'd bring him to a party getting drunk and tell him he's taking over Doctor Who, and then he tells you, okay, I'll take over Doctor Who, but I'm not doing a Christmas special. I'll leave that to you and Peter to do. That, straight away, if I was Stephen Moffat, that was a red flag right there and then. Right? If the episodes that you written red flags already, that was the biggest one right fucking there. And do you know what Moffat should have done? He should have stopped. Do you know what, Chris? It's all right. I was only joking with you. Here's another drink. That's what should have happened. Do you think Joe Martin will be popular in Big Finish? Well, the problem with Joe Martin's Doctor is this, right? The Fugitive Doctor. Obviously, she was always going to look good compared to Whittaker's Doctor. And I have openly admitted that she is better than Whittaker's Doctor. But the bottom line is, it's just like Jodie Whittaker. Joe Martin is not Doctor Who material. I'm sorry, she's just not at the level of actress she needs to be to take that role on, just like Jodie Whittaker. You need to be bringing in, especially if you're doing a female Doctor. I'm sorry, people will disagree with this, but you needed to bring in an Olivia Colman. You needed a name for your first female Doctor. And then if it was a success, then you could bring in another female, but a relatively new actress that nobody knew, right? And then it could work. It was never going to work with Jodie Whittaker. But as for Joe Martin, I think it's a pity for Joe Martin though, because he brings her in the Fugitive Doctor. I have to admit myself, when Jodie Whittaker's Doctor did dig up that TARDIS, it was the only time during the Chibnall era that I was actually taken aback. I wasn't expecting that. I kind of had my suspicions. I have to be honest. I thought she was another Doctor, but I wasn't quite sure. But when the TARDIS was dug, it confirmed it. But there was so much you could have done with Joe Martin. And maybe Joe Martin in the role a little bit longer, she might have won a lot of more people over. The fact of the matter is Chris Chibnall mishandled her. And I do believe he just brought her in because she happened to be a black woman, and he wanted to be, again, the first bloke to say that he cast a black person as the Doctor. That's what I believe he did. And I think it's an absolute disgrace, to be honest. Joe Martin did deserve better. She is a good actress. I just don't think she's Doctor Who level, but she is a good actress. And as I said, she was a fan of the show, and she is a fan of Doctor Who. And you could tell she was a fan of Doctor Who because she played it decent enough. But again, it was never going to go anywhere. None of what Chibnall did went anywhere. Gallifrey being destroyed went nowhere. The Timeless Child went nowhere, right? The whole thing with Tectoyun, well, he killed her off before we actually got more details about her, right? Then he kills off two of the most interesting characters in Doctor Who Flux. This man just didn't finish anything he started. He just didn't finish anything. So again, Joe Martin is tainted by this era, and she will be, as far as I know, she is going to be on Big Finish. I wish her the best. I do, and I hope she does knock it out of the park on Big Finish. I really do, because you know what? If Chibs is going to bring her in, right, he's not going to do anything with her, and if the writers of Big Finish think they could do a better job and actually give her decent scripts. Right, and I know it's not acting, it's voice acting. But if she does well and convinces people on those audios, I say fair bleeding play to her, to be quite honest with you. After the way she's being treated by Chris Chibnall, and Jodie Whittaker should feel some fucking regret working with him again. Or working with him. Because he did the same with her. Her Doctor never went anywhere. Look at her Doctor from the start to the end. Right? It's stagnated. She didn't grow. There was no personal growth with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. None at all. Look when we first saw Peter Capaldi's Doctor. Now, I know Series 8 was kind of all over the place, and then Series 9, then you look at Series 10. But look at the character development. Look at the change in Peter Capaldi's Doctor, right? Remember when we first met, he didn't like hugs and all of that, right? But by the end then, okay, he still doesn't kind of like hugs, but he's accepted them. Simple things like that, right? Just a simple thing like that is character development. And these are the things that these fans don't see. You need all of that to believe the character's growth, to believe in the character. There was none with hers. She stagnated from day one. Same with Mandip Gill, with Yasmin Khan, and the same with Ryan Sinclair. No wonder he left, jumped ship. He was right to, because Rooney's bleeding career if he had stayed in Doctor Who any longer, to be honest. I think that lad deserved a lot more. He is a good actor. He's supposed to be I don't know if the show happened because obviously all the COVID nonsense started, but he was supposed to be going over to America to film, I think it was a crime show, and I was really looking forward to seeing him in that because I know that lad has talent because you could see little bits of it in Doctor Who. Again, it was Chris Chibnall's job and his team's job to get the best out of those people, and they didn't do their job properly because Chris Chibnall was too busy looking after the team of writers that he brought in that had no experience and his own script. Well, he says that, right? Because his own scripts were shit. Yeah? Now, I just want to point out that for the last special, he didn't have any of those issues with writers and looking after writers because wasn't written by him and someone, so there was just two writers, right? So he had no excuse. So his excuse that he used that he was looking after his junior writers that he brought in and he was making sure their scripts were all right, and that's why his script suffered. He had no excuse for the power of the Doctor because they were all gone, right? So, what's your excuse for a piss poor story? Like, it was entertaining, but nothing was answered. Loads of loopholes. Still more loopholes, plot holes were created. And you just totally ignored everything. But yeah, I will say it was an action-packed ride and I love the cameos, right? But there was the plot. What plot? There were no plot. And that's the point, right? He could have proved us all wrong with that last episode, right? And then we could have said, well, maybe he is right. Maybe the fact that he was distracted by all this other nonsense, he couldn't concentrate on his own script. But he had no excuse for the power of the Doctor. And he still produced a bang average script, which just happened to have a lot of action. It went from one scene to the next, but it's saying that there were some elements within it that were absolutely brilliant. And I'm not going to lie, those cameos, especially for me, were brilliant. And there were some parts of the episode that were actually there. I mean, Sacha Dhawan's master was a highlight for me as well, I have to be honest. So there were some good things in that. But again, there was no story. Plot holes galore. And then all the plot holes that he created over the last 5 years, he just totally ignored. Now, that was actually a BBC thing. We did report it on this channel. They told him to just ignore. Which makes me think that this era of Doctor Who is... I say they're not going to acknowledge, but at the same time, the social media accounts are still doing a good job of reminding us how bad the era was. I don't even get that. It was all action and no plot. Exactly. Even Die Hard had a plot, right? It was an action movie, but it had a plot and it made the movie better, right? That was the problem with this episode. There was a lot of action. It looked great to look at, and some of the scenes were absolutely amazing. I'm not going to lie. And some of the acting in it was great. Jodie's acting wasn't too great, but we'll leave that out. But the rest of the acting with the other cast was great. It just didn't really have much of a story to go with, did it? because it kept jumping like he did with Flux. And Flux is probably considered his probably best work on Doctor Who. But again, it's the same thing. It's flash bang, smoke and mirrors, as Lee said here months ago when we did the whole nonsense with Flux. There was no substance to it. It is heavily rumoured RTD wrote all the classic Doctor's dialogue, but it went uncredited. Is there any truth to that rumour? Well, remember I did tell you on this channel, because you do listen to me, and people were asking me about the power of the Doctor and would RTD have any writing credit on it. Well, obviously he did the last scene. So what I will say is this. Is what I do know is obviously he came in to write the regeneration scene. May he have done more that's gone uncredited? Well, he's done it in the past. That's all I'll say. On Doctor Who, by the way, he's done it in the past. It's not unusual for someone to do that, but I would say, if you were to ask me directly, I would have to say yeah, for the simple reason is because what's going to happen in the 60th. So there might be some. I'm not saying he exclusively would have wrote the dialogue, but he probably would have had a hand in it. I wouldn't be surprised. Look, do you think Chris Chibnall could write the power of the Doctor? I don't know, to be quite honest, because when you watch it, I don't know, something about that episode that just plays on my mind a little bit. I watch it, it looks like a Chris Chibnall episode, but it doesn't feel like a Chris Chibnall episode. But then I'm kind of thinking, I know it was. See, here's the thing. How we know that when Chris Chibnall co-writes a script for Doctor Who, we actually know who's writing the good stuff and who's writing the awful dialogue. I remember Maxine Alderton showed him up a couple of times. She was probably one of the better writers out of the Chris Chibnall production team. Her and Pete Matoig, I think. Matoig, yeah. So I wouldn't put it past them. Remember, the power of the Doctor ignored everything that Chib's done, right? He left everything. He didn't even explain anything. He just left it. I would say, I would have to say, personally, he definitely wrote David Tennant's scene. We know that. He may have given some input into the rest of the script, but that's definitely not his writing. Because if that's RTD's writing now, right, and I think we already saw RTD's writing at the end of the episode, to be quite honest with you. You listen to the dialogue and all, especially when Jodie Whittaker's jumping on that train. Do you think it's something that RTD would write for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor? I don't think so. I don't think so. I say there were certain elements in the power of the Doctor that, as I said, the 60th, I told you already, it was spoke about on this channel. I told you that the original RTD wanted to bring some doctors back. Right? So that scene in itself, looked out of place. So I'm going to watch that episode. I have to watch that episode again. I have to watch it again. Oh, he would have an eye on what he's doing. Absolutely. I'm not. Of course he is, because he's going to be taking over the reins, isn't he? So, yeah, and remember, this decision to bring back RTD was already made even without Chris Chibnall's knowledge. He was surprised as the rest of us were when it was announced officially. Because he came out, I thought he was a little bit ratty about it, to be quite honest with you. But I could understand if the decision was made behind your back. But he was already out anyway, so I don't know what he's kind of moaning. Because he in his last interview, if you all remember, he didn't know if Doctor Who was coming back or not. Right? So that says to me that he was already gone anyway. Look, all of this will, as I said, the Chaos and Cardiff stuff and all this other nonsense that happened during the last previous era, it'll all come to light, folks. It'll all come to light. And the people like myself that we're talking about, because I wasn't the only channel, but I did stick to me guns, whereas a lot of other channels died down about it because they didn't want the aggro that I was getting, so they stopped talking about it. But I continued to talk about it. All of this stuff will come out, and bits have already come out. We already know that there was discontent within the production team. It's been finally, in the last few interviews that Matt Stevens and Chris Chibnall did, it was revealed that there were problems behind production. Now, people out there, because the other side want to spin it, oh, that was got to do with the pandemic, nothing got to do with them having infighting and any of that. No, it wasn't. It was got to do with the infighting. There was even people within RTD, within fucking Chris Chibnall's team that didn't even like what he was doing. And some of these weren't even hardcore Doctor Who fans. And they knew it was wrong. Remember, we told you the rumor, and Billy Piper gets rumored to be in Doctor Who all the time, as you know. But we did receive a rumor during the 5 years that Chris Chibnall was considering bringing Rose Tyler back, so she could fall in love with the Doctor all over again as a woman. Chaos in Cardiff definitely happened, man. I know it did. Tardis time. Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think that was the most intense research that I did, because I even remember Tolson Cole putting up a video saying, and someone was asking him, did she read our lines? Because apparently she walked off set. Right? And then there was the whole thing with Mandip Gill's Twitter and Instagram account. Time Traveler was there, and then it was crossed out, then it disappeared, and then it was back again. I researched all of this at the time. The videos are still up on the channel. Right? I even put up the BBC radio interview where they admitted after Series 11 they had problems, huge problems, going into the production of Series 12, and everything wasn't right. And that was on a local station on BBC. And they were even reporting. But people want to ignore the facts. People want to ignore the fact that there were problems, because remember, this is the best era ever, the best Doctor ever, and all of this, and the most successful Doctor Who ever. All of the stuff that they've spun. And remember, the ratings don't matter, folks, because 13 million people tune in, and then 2 million people tune in by the end of it. But the ratings don't matter, folks, because it's still successful. It's still successful. You can lose 11 million viewers or 10 million viewers, and that's a success according to the other side that spin the ratings every time. And even if you look at the consolidated figures, the overnights, the consolidated, and look at the AI, it all shows you that this era, the previous era of Doctor Who, did serious damage to the franchise. Now, an AI of 80 is classed as good, right? You look at the Whittaker era, yes, she got a few 80s and stuff like that. She had start going down to the 70s. It was looking very bad. AI hasn't gone down. It was big news when the AI actually went down below 80. It was big news indeed. But again, they chose to ignore it. It was BBC Leeds. It was. There you go. It was BBC Radio Leeds. Even Daniel remembers because I did the research on this. Trust me, I was like a dog on heat, man. I was on that story because I was very committed to exposing all of this. Seriously, in the early days, man, the amount of research I did and stuff that went looking for to back up everything that I was saying. Because unlike the other side, they don't back themselves up with facts and figures and all of this and all that other stuff. But I do when I'm doing this stuff. I back myself up. I found a radio interview, right? I got that Tolson Cole video where he threw up and then he took down, but I got a hold of that before he threw it down. I recorded it on my phone and I stuck it up along with the BBC radio interview and all of that other stuff. I exposed it all. Chaos in Cardiff did happen. And then I had all the big accounts out there then. And I remember big accounts picking on me, right? Telling me I was lying, sending people my way, all punching down because we were a bunch of cowards. And then Chris Chibnall then, when he leaves, he does an interview and says, yeah, there was problems and stuff. He didn't come out and confirm, well, he kind of did, in my eyes, confirm chaos in Cardiff, but to the rest of them, they actually need more than that, which is fair enough. In a way, I kind of agree, just to lay it out there. But I know it happened. I don't need convincing. You know, I was getting the insider information, and it happened. All because he wanted to do things to the show that people didn't agree with, and even people that he brought in didn't agree with him. You need to write a book about your YouTube story now and call it Chaos in Cardiff. I'd buy it. Jesus, man, if I told you what happened over these last 5 years and I showed you the screenshots of the stuff that was being sent, I mean, it would make good reading, wouldn't it? But no, I don't want to relive that experience ever again. The last few years, not so the last year, maybe 2 years, I've enjoyed it a lot more. I have to be honest. But those early years, no, it was. I wouldn't want to relive that experience again. A lot of other people as well, um, who were defending me as well, got caught up in it. It was horrible. It's not nice, you know. Me name is being dragged through the mud on social media. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, someone even went to Noel Clark there um last week and basically said to Noel, so what are you streaming with? The Tardis zone. He's a notorious bigot and a racist. And Noel actually stood up for me and actually replied to this person. And he says that I don't listen to hearsay. And if I was like that, he said that Noel's point was that education is the best and people should be cancelled. But it was nice to see that Noel actually responded and said something to this person. But, you know, that was someone trying to derail the streams with Noel. That's not going to happen. I just want to let you actually know that. You know, at the end of the day, as I said, Noel doesn't judge based on hearsay. He's gotten to know me. So I think he kind of has a decent grasp of what kind of human being I am. And it's not anything that that the way I'm portrayed on Twitter. Yeah, I can be a bit of a dick. Cheryl will even tell you that. I can be an asshole. Yes, absolutely. Right? But all the other stuff that I get called, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I stand against it. The difference between me though and other people is I don't announce or put on me bio what people and who what groups I support and all of that. Right? I shouldn't have to. I think people know me. I think you all know that racism is a no-no with me. You know, hate speech is a no-no. I mean, they're the common things that everybody should be against. If you have an issue with that and a problem with that, well, then there's something wrong with you. But they make me out to be this person that I'm not. And it used to bother me. I have to be honest, Cheryl will tell you. It used to bother me. Doesn't bother me now because you know what? I've gotten to the point where it's happened so often now that it's just become routine. I know what to expect when I go onto Twitter now, you know, and unless it's someone who has said like recently said something really vile about me, then obviously I will address it because you don't let that shit go. But if someone is just shit talking me on Twitter about something that I put up, who cares? I don't care. Let them call me what they want. But it is sad, you know, because that reputation, it's actually gas. I got over the Christmas. Actually, I've been banned from 3 Doctor Who groups because all of a sudden the people realize that, oh, you're that bigot that does be on YouTube, or I heard about you on Twitter and Instagram. So the admins removed me from their groups. So word does travel, but there's nothing I could do about that. All I can do is come on here, and if people are willing to listen to me, they'll see what kind of person I am. Yes, I could be loud. Yes, I could be out straight, and maybe sometimes I can talk without thinking. I think we all do that sometimes, but you know, I'm honest with my opinions. I don't shy away from them. And, you know, people say I should be a little bit more diplomatic about the way I put things across. No, I'll be me. And Noel doesn't do things diplomatically. Ask the wife. There's no, I'll do it my way. That's it. End of story. And if I make a mistake or if I go overboard, I will learn from that mistake. And if I don't learn from that mistake, well, then obviously you get the likes of Cheryl Lee or other people coming at me telling me that I need to do better. And that's what friends and the missus are there for. If I do step out of line, put me back on the straight and narrow. Yeah, well, he is a decent chap. I've gotten to know Noel Clark during the streams, and we do talk back off camera as well. Well, when I mean off camera, I mean off camera to you guys backstage. Uh, we talk for a while. It's not as if he goes straight away after it's done. We have a little bit of a chat. We had a little bit of a decent chat the last time. And again, it'll be the same, you know, before we start the stream and after we finish the stream. So, and you know, and as I said, we've been keeping in touch as well. He's been, you know, obviously we were supposed to do the stream this Wednesday, but he's on the school run now, so we changed it to Saturday. But he's back on Saturday 9 p.m. And he'll be back to talk about Fast Girls. Tomorrow, obviously, is Friday night contact with myself, Lee, and Chris, and we've got some DC news for you, of course. Um, yeah, I don't even know what to say, but all I'll just say is I'm not a comic book reader, but RIP DC Comics is all I'm going to say, and you will have to find out what I mean by that tomorrow. Also, just briefly, this is some of the news that we will have for you tomorrow. Uh, it looks like that some of the Warner Brothers executives are warming to the idea of keeping Ezra Miller on board after this Flash movie. And again, I would say to James Gunn, you know, read the room, you bleeding asshole. Nobody wants Ezra Miller as the Flash. Everybody wants Henry, but you've ignored them, but you're keeping a criminal. And that's what he is, by the way, because he's being charged. Now, they've come out with some nonsense, say, well, he's kept his nose clean since then. So it's okay to choke a woman out on video. It's all right to do all the other stuff that he's being accused of, and he actually got charged with something. So that's all right, is it? But yeah, he's cancelled Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp got cancelled for absolutely nothing. So you're actually keeping a criminal, and one that's being proven to be innocent is out of work because, you know. Can you explain that to me, James Gunn? And I don't even know why we're all listening to James Gunn. I think everybody has a very short memory of the tweets that he put up a couple of years ago, talking about little boys inappropriately, right? So have we forgotten all about that, have we? Everybody's asking about Lee. Okay, so here it is. This is why I told Lee that he was probably better off writing something for me so I could throw up on Twitter to tell you all. So right now, Lee is taking a break from Twitter. He hasn't been suspended, as some people think he has. He hasn't. He's deactivated his account. He came on briefly again, I just seen, I think, today, but he's back off again. Lee is being attacked on Twitter since he's come back, and I've seen some of the stuff. And all I'll just say is well, I know Elon Musk is not listening. I know he doesn't give a shit, but this man actually promised to make the platform safe for everybody. As far as I can see, it's no different to the old regime. I'm not going to say it's worse because it's not, in my opinion. It's not worse, but it certainly isn't any better. So, you know, he's made some changes that are not of consequence to us because it's all that check mark nonsense and all of that other stuff. But I'd rather he concentrate on actually getting rid of these people that are attacking gay, lesbian people and Jewish people. The amount of vile tweets that I've seen in relation to all is absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. So shame on you, Elon, because your first priority shouldn't have been. I know people left and you were in a panic and you've lost 200 million or whatever is 2 billion. I don't care what you've lost. Don't really give a crap. You promised stuff. You have not delivered on that. You want to get your ass into gear and sort out all of these bigots, racists, and all of these other people that are attracted to younger people. You need to be removing all of that from Twitter, but you haven't. Now, I know you have removed a lot of pornographic sites and stuff like that, and that's a good start, but you need to be actually doing a lot more than what you're doing. You're not doing it fast enough. So what's the problem? And here's the thing, Lee and myself have tagged Elon. And of course, because we're little guys, you know, we don't matter. He's not going to respond. He seems to respond to check marks and other people that he tends to like. We're hoping to get his attention, but we couldn't get his attention. So after Lee could see that he wasn't getting his attention, and obviously he filled in a report. He got nothing from that except an automatic response, and then Lee just decided enough was enough. So Lee is off. He's deactivated his account for now. I don't know when he's coming back on, so don't ask me. Lee will come on when he feels ready to come back on. I already seen today he came back on for a few hours. He might pop on tomorrow because we obviously have the stream tomorrow, so he might be in the chat, in the private chat that we have before that stream starts. He might be back briefly then. But Twitter is not the paradise that Elon Musk has promised, and he'd want to really get his ass into gear, because I tell you, the behavior that I've seen on Twitter is absolutely disgusting. It's always been disgusting, even with the old regime. People going around threatening to put, holes between people's eyes, usually is their imagination. So all of that nonsense was going on before. Now we've got all the other stuff as well, and now it just hasn't improved. So what are you doing, mate? Stop posing to your new friends on Twitter and trying to act like the big cheese. We know you're a billionaire and all, and you do think you are the big cheese, but you promised stuff and you haven't delivered. So what gives, Elon? I always said we needed to give Elon a chance to make his mark on the platform and to sort out the issues. But it seems to be going very slow to me. Now, as I said, I know when all those companies were pulling their ads and stuff like that, he did get into a bit of a mess and he needed to do something, and maybe he's concentrated on that a bit more than he should. But he said he was going to make a platform for everybody, right, left, or wherever you lay, and it'd be a place that everybody could have decent conversation and feel safe while doing it. Well, Lee doesn't feel safe right now. So, as I said, get your fucking act together, right? Or get people in that actually know what they're doing. When it comes to SpaceX and Tesla, Elon's a genius. When it comes to bleeding Twitter, he's a bleeding gobshite, he is. Stop trying to impress your new friends, right? He puts up just random fucking stupid tweets rather than actually fixing what he said he was going to fix. And I'm sick of it, because a friend of mine is now affected by it. We're all affected by the old regime, and he said he was going to fix it. Well, fix it. People are running out of patience. As I said, stop posing to your new friends, writing up your stupid little tweets so they can all praise you, and they can all tell you how you're the master of your universe and all of this. You're not, right? Sort your shit out. Don't care how much money you've got. You promised shit, you haven't delivered. You're worse than a fucking politician, right? Anyway, how did we ever think that a billionaire was actually going to do right by us? We must be fucking idiots, the whole lot of us, because a lot of us have been fucking had by this man. Well, so far, because he's taking his fucking time about it. Right? They're all the fucking same. They're all cut from the same cloth. Right? He bought Twitter for a reason. And it's not for the reasons that we all think. There's another reason behind it. There's always another reason behind that anyway. Yeah, great, fair enough. He's exposing US government corruption. Fair enough. But he promised stuff, right? He could have other people do that for him. Okay, there is no excuse to get the app fucking working properly, the platform working properly. I'm sorry, right? He's busy exposing. They don't be giving me that, man. He's a billionaire. He can have the best fucking tech people working in fucking Twitter doing that for him. I'm sick of people making excuses for Elon, right? Just because he sticks it to the government the odd time doesn't make him a good guy. Remember, he's a billionaire. He has interests of his own. They all do. Bill Gates, Bezos, the whole lot of them. Right? They all have their own agenda. They all have their own reasons why they buy up all of this shit. They know what they're fucking doing. Right? Elon wants to control the narrative. He won't say it out straight, but that's exactly what he wants to do. because he hasn't promised what he's delivered. So that's where the way he has me thinking. So until he delivers, right, my opinion on him is not going to change. He's let a lot of people down. He promised the stars and he hasn't delivered, just like a fucking politician, right? They promise you the world, they promise you that they're going to make your life better, and then they screw you. Wise up. Unbelievable, man. Nah, he's a smart guy. He is a bit of a plank, though. I agree with you, but he is a smart guy. I do admire what he's done. SpaceX and Tesla. I do. I think he's an absolute genius, right? I think he could do a lot of great things for this planet, and I think he has, right? But he shouldn't have bought Twitter if he wasn't going to deliver what he said. Now I know it takes time, but he's been there a while now, right? And Twitter is no different. There's still abusive people on it, making vulnerable groups fucking feel terrified and having to leave Twitter, right? He promised he was going to eradicate. I can't even get my words out. Eradicate it, right? And he hasn't, because he's distracted, apparently. But he has. He's a billionaire. He can hire the best tech people in the world to expose the US government, while at the same time fixing the app, the platform, and making it safe for everyone, like he claimed he would do. So that's why Lee is not on Twitter. Sorry for that big rant, but it actually has pissed me off, because it's been nice having Lee back on Twitter, because I can actually talk to him properly. And he's been in the chat with me and Chris, as I said, and we do have a chat about what we're going to be doing, obviously, this week. And of course, we haven't been able to chat as much now because he doesn't feel safe on the platform. So yeah, I am a bit pissed off, because he's like me. He's very bad at email. He doesn't like really being on Messenger. And Instagram is dead. So the only place that I can actually really talk to Lee on a regular basis is when he was on it was Twitter. And he's the co-host for tomorrow. So now well, it hasn't kind of fucked it up, because I could still send him stuff that we're going to be talking about and stuff, so he could do his research and he could still send me stuff, I suppose. But it's a lot more awkward now, whereas it was better because I'd set up a chat for the whole lot, so we could put everything in the one chat and discuss it while we were there and discuss what we were going to talk about. And remember, it's not the first time one of our friends haven't felt safe on Twitter, especially under the old regime. But it's no different. And anybody that says that Twitter is different, it's not. It's not different. It's still the same old Twitter as far as I'm concerned. And I've seen it on a daily basis, because I've seen me friend being hammered by both sides. Right? You have people being anti-Semitic, right? And then you have the people that are bashing him because he's a gay man. And because he defends himself, then these people put him on lists. That's what happened. They put him on a list. They did what? So basically, the bad Germans did that. They put Jewish people on lists. They put Lee on a list. They put Lee on a list, and that's what set him off. And you went in, you seen the list and the name of the list, and it was disgusting. I seen it for myself. It was disgusting. And of course he reacted to it. Of course he was going to react to it. He's put on a fucking list. So excuse me and forgive me if I don't believe Elon Musk's bullshit. The last time Jewish people were put on a list Well, we know what happened. Everybody gets put on lists nowadays. So do you notice that these like activists and these people, they always put you on lists? I mean, they really do take inspiration from the bad Germans of the 19th. They really do. They really do. They call us that nasty word, what we call bad Germans, yeah? And yet they're acting like them because they're putting us on lists and they're saying that we've got to listen to what they say because they're right. And people think it's acceptable. And then here's the kicker, right? Lee will defend himself. And guess what? He's the one that ends up then getting punished by Twitter. I mean, I just can't believe that we have fallen so far as a society and we're going backwards. And we're actually, seeing people using the same tactics that these nasty people made in the past, and we're making the same mistakes again. And it's not going to end well. It needs to be, unless there's an actual will to stamp this out, and never will be stamped out. That's the bottom line. Twitter should be ashamed. YouTube, all the platforms should be. They have a moral obligation, to be quite honest. But these platforms don't run on morals, though, do they? It's a business, so they don't give a fuck. But they should be regulated in some way. I'm serious. I don't really believe in any of that stuff. But you've got to do something to do. If social media platforms are not going to take responsibility for their own platforms and let it be rampant, let all of that stuff be rampant, well, then someone needs to come in, an independent group or whatever, and assess all of these the social media platforms and give them a report and tell them what they need to change in order for these platforms to be safer for everybody. Because these social media platforms have allowed this to fester and have allowed this to go on for decades anyway. And they're not doing enough. They're not taking responsibility. They want other people to take responsibility for that, but they won't take responsibility for themselves. It's their bloody business. If there's something wrong with it or there's bad people within it, it's your job to remove them. But they don't think like that. Exactly. Chancellor Goff. I can't read it out, but exactly. Exactly. Sure. It was the same thing when I defended him. I actually had certain accounts go after me after he retweeted me. And it was the same when I defended Noel Clark and continued to defend Noel Clark. Apparently, I'm a defender of you know what. It's just sad. It's just sad because the people that claim they're on the right side of history are the ones that are creating all these problems, and they don't even realize it. Or they do and they just don't care. But either way, it's bad for the rest of us. The rest of us just want to get on with our lives. I mean, I'm sick of listening to Joe Biden supporters. I'm sick of listening to Trump supporters. I'm sick of listening to anti-vax and pro-vax supporters. I don't give a shit. Do what you want. Support who you want. But the rest of us would like to get on with it. Bitching and moaning at each other is not going to resolve anything. Bottom line is, Trump supporters, look, sorry, Biden is president. Whether you think the election was stolen or not, he's in the White House, right? As for Biden supporters, I'll just say to you, the sun doesn't shine out of Joe Biden's ass. He's probably one of the worst presidents that you've had, and that's a fact. Along with Donald Trump, and I'd even throw Obama in there. You haven't actually had very good luck with presidents lately, if I'm honest, right? But he's not this great president that he's making out to be. He's an absolute national joke in your country, as far as I can see. The media are ridiculing him at except the media that support them, of course. The rest of the media are ridiculing him. We see videos every day. I just don't know how that man's even in the White House and is even in power, personally. Right? But he's not great. And neither is Trump, by the way. Just want to point that out. I know there's hardcore Trumpers that probably support me, and he's probably a bit surprised that I say this, but at the end of the day, Trump was a bit of a laugh, but then it kind of got serious, and then that laugh wasn't a laugh anymore because he actually needed to do his job. And as far as I'm concerned, he handled the whole pandemic situation wrong. And we say, look, he's not going to be president. I didn't think it would happen, but obviously they've moved to he can be charged. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but if it does happen, he's not going to be president. Simple as that. Biden's not good enough for re-election either. So who do you vote in? Well, it depends who the candidates are, doesn't it? And that's the problem you're going to have. But the bottom line is the rest of us just want to get on with it. We're sick and tired of listening to all sides of the argument at this stage. Right? Bottom line is it's done. We have this merry-go-round to go again when the next election happens anyway, so don't worry, it's going to get worse. So yeah, you think it's all going to be plain sailing the next election? It's not. They can't even agree who's going to be Speaker of the House right now. Absolute joke. Yeah, my country's no better, by the way. Just want to point that out. I'm not having a dig at America. I love the country. I'm married an American. Um, but the whole world's gone. Whole world's gone. I just must receive my copy of the magazine. Well, fair play to you. I didn't receive my copy of the Force magazine, so never came. So I think Cheryl ended up cancelling the order. I don't know if she's actually received her money back. Actually, I never asked, but yeah, never got me magazine. It was never delivered because the time we ordered it, there was a postal strike in the UK, so that kind of screwed it up. So I never got the Force magazine, folks. So I'm kind of gutted, but I know they'll reissue it, and hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on it if they do reissue the magazine. But I'm pissed about that, to be quite honest with you. And I have to say, the place where we got it, when I actually told them that there was a delay in the post, they actually came back at me with a tweet that was like talking about their other we're taking booking orders for they didn't even acknowledge me tweet on the fact that me magazine, which I think is bad form, by the way. I won't mention who they are, but it's bad form. Better customer service, I have to say, you need there. Because if a fan comes to you with an inquiry and says, well, where's my magazine that I ordered from your shop, and I say, well, you should be telling people that there is a postal strike and it's going to be delayed, but I never got any of that. He's never gave me any information. All we got was it was on its way, a tracking number to track it. And we seen that I hadn't left the UK in a good few days. Then apparently it did leave the UK, and then all of a sudden it was just didn't get here. Right, but they were no help. I have to be honest, kind of soured soured it a little bit for me because I was really excited for that magazine. I have to be honest. I kept asking Cheryl every time she went down, "Is there anything in the post?" And no, 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 every day, no. So yeah, I just in future, I think these places need to be telling the people that are spending their cash to buy their products that, if there is going to be a delay in any way, or there's going to be a problem with shipping and it might take a little bit longer. But I got none of that. We got none of that information. As I said, they kind of brushed it off a bit, which I thought was bad form. And, they want to get a better customer service going. If they don't have a customer service, or whoever's running their social media account on Twitter, I'd replace them, to be quite honest with you, and get someone in that actually is a little bit more helpful, maybe. Um, so yeah, I'm gutted, man. And people have said to me, "Here's a digital copy." It's not the same. It's not the same. I wanted the physical copy. And I just want to say to the people that have offered the digital copy, look, fair play. And I love the fact that there are people out there that were willing to give it to me, but I wanted the physical copy. I don't think people realize how much I wanted it. So if I don't have the physical copy, it's not the same to me. I need it in my hands. I need to smell that paper. I need to read the lines, the words off the paper. I'm just a weirdo like that. Um, so yeah, good man, good. But what can you do? What can you do? Not very much anyway. Let me see. Just checking there now because obviously there's been stuff released today because the magazine is out. I mean, there's Twitter safety now with a whole. We're committed to helping everyone on Twitter keep their accounts safe and secure. Yeah, okay. Okay. When I actually see it, and I know what you mean by actually new passwords and all that, but and I'm glad he's kind of doing stuff like that. But could you get on the actual important issue here, which is people being targeted because of either their gender, their sexuality, or race? It's disgusting. So, what have we got trending? Well, Ezra Miller, predictably, is trending. Mandip Gill is actually trending. The Master is trending. 48,000 tweets for the Master. Let me see. It's probably the usual suspects. Let's see. It's only in relation to Neil Patrick Harris. Some people are still saying they think he's really the Master. Um, I doubt that very much now after the photographs that we threw up. But it's nice to see the show. It doesn't matter what character they're talking about. It's trending. As I said, Mandip Gill, well, she's got 1,346 tweets. We'll just go in and have a quick look. I mean, I haven't really seen anything of Mandip since she's left the show. Oh, it's our birthday today. All right. Well, happy birthday, I suppose. You know. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to know that 1,346 people care. So here's a bit of news. So Millie Gibson's agent wasn't satisfied with her forced self-taped audition for Doctor Who and had her do it over before sending it in. She doesn't say why her agent didn't want to send in the forced tape, but the second tape got her the call back. And that was a quote from Doctor Who magazine. So our forced audition tape didn't go too well, and the agent thought, nah, you need to do that again. Which, look, we know that for a fact that happens quite a lot. That's not news. That does happen a lot. An audition mightn't go off well the first time. Sometimes you do an audition and it goes off perfectly. Other times it might be so good, but then the people that know you see something that there is something there, so they'll tell you to do a second one. So obviously the second one, so that's so apparently Shooty is at the Swansea Bay campus. That was an hour ago, and they're still filming apparently. Apparently there's someone up on Twitter who was standing at that kitchen window because apparently Doctor Who was filming right outside uh, the kitchen window. But I wonder why they probably hadn't allowed throw photos. I'll see if there's any photos actually. I don't know if I'll be able to show them now. Well, the other channels will, and they'll get away with it. I do it. I don't get away with it. That's the problem. Um, no problem, Rob. Happy New Year to you as well, man. I hope you had a good one. Well, I hope it's good so far. Um, Interesting. Let's see if there's any more actually, because so here's another quote from Doctor Who magazine. So Mandip Gill and Jodie Whittaker both got in touch with Millie Gibson after her casting announcement and said some lovely, lovely things. Doctor Who magazine. Hmm. Yeah, she would be nervous. She's this is her this is her first big proper. I mean, Coronation Street is a big role. I'm not gonna lie, because it is. I think it's the longest running British soap, isn't it? Coronation Street. So it's historic, just like Doctor Who. So you don't just get on that show if you're a crap actress. You have to have a bit of talent. But Doctor Who, I was going to say Doctor Who. Doctor Who is definitely a step up. But I have no doubt in her ability. Uh, I've seen her acting clips. She's a decent actress. So all she has to do now is do her job, and she'll be fine. Chibnall is as I said, Chibs is trending, but he's been trending over the last couple of days. But as I said, you actually go into it, you'll see that they're blaming the marketing team. Some talk about how great the cinematography was. Jodie Whittaker's run as the 13th Doctor gave us a brilliant performance under the worst writing. I hope Chibnall never comes up near Doctor Who again. I mean, I don't get these people. And of course, people that I'm just baffled. People obviously saying RTD better than Chibs, which is not hard. Have to be honest. Again, the marketing is what they're picking up on. Some people have criticised his writing. Of course, nobody is criticising Jodie Whittaker at all. I mean, she's the perfect Doctor, folks. I mean, she didn't put a foot wrong, according to all of these fans here. Um, And of course, you got some journalists, especially a journalist that I had a run in with. The new Doctor Who trailer prompted a new wave of usual suspects claiming that the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall era of the show was too woke or politically correct. In reality, it was the most conservative era of the series since 1986. And this journalist is the very, yeah, he can't let go. He can't let go. Uh, Hold on. Uh, Sorry, I just had to reply to that actually because I'm not holding back with these idiots anymore. I mean, it was. You're telling me it was more conservative. It was the same as 1986. Is there something wrong with you? Were you even watching the same shows the rest of us? And tell the 11 million people that walked away that it wasn't woke or too politically correct, because that's exactly what it was. You could deny it all you want. You could write your little pathetic little articles because you're in with Mr. Tardis anyway. We all know that because he was the one that informed you, ratted on me, right? Because I read your article out and you didn't like what I had to say about it. So he went and cried to you, oh, Tardis always picking on you. Then you got your editor then to actually uh, strike me video because I dared to speak up against your bullshit because you wrote the saying bullshit. the last time I called you out, and it's basically a repeat and a rehash of the shit that you regurgitated. That's all it is, same shit. Because you just can't let go. Bottom line is, look, I don't know what universe you are living in. I don't know what universe you media people are living in, right? You can defend this era all you want, okay? Try explain if you can explain to me why 11 million people stopped watching and come up with a viable excuse with actually evidence to back it up, then we'll shut up. The fact of the matter is, I'm not the only fan channel that's out there. There are several fan channels out there. Some are even bigger than mine that have thousands, beyond thousands of Doctor Who fans watching channels. And they've all said the same thing. So you're lying, as you always do. The worst magazine out there, Escapist magazine. I'll tell you the magazine. I just won't tell you the journalist. But it's one of the worst shill magazines out there, I have to say. The editor is not a nice man. They actually mocked me. His editor mocked me when he thought he'd got me taken down. Him and Mr. Tardis having a nice little laugh to themselves. Of course, they didn't actually bank on the fact that I would appeal it and win the appeal, which I did. And they didn't like that whatsoever, so I got blocked. But apparently he has unblocked me for some weird reason. All because I called out a journalist. See, this is the thing. It doesn't matter who you are, journalist, fan, fucking idiot. I'm going to call you out. You're talking bullshit. I'm going to call you out. I mean, despite the outrage, Doctor Who is less woke than it's been in decades. Yeah, keep drinking that soy milk, mate. Keep drinking that Kool-Aid. Yeah, I'd like some of that. And then I'll rewatch Jodie Whittaker's here again. If you want to send some that Kool-Aid over, give it to us, please, yeah? Then I'll sit down and I'll watch all the 3 seasons again. And maybe I'll come to the same conclusion as you. Or maybe I just have to be out my face on alcohol or something to see what you see. But absolute nonsense coming out your mouth yet again. And they're the people we should be calling out, by the way. Not fans that call us not my doctors. These are the people you need to be calling out. The journalists that are still coming out with this bullshit. No, they're petty little adult children. Yes. Absolutely. Of course I appeal. I was always going to appeal. I wasn't in the wrong. Right? He didn't like my opinion, so they tried to shut me down. Because, as I said, Mr. Tardis went crying to him. Right? It was the same when what was that magazine? The LGBTQ magazine that did me rumors. And again, the same suspect, Mr. Tardis, went crying to them, telling them that I was a notorious troll and that I was transphobic and I was homophobic. And then that magazine actually took the links down from my original video, but actually kept all my information. So they stole me information, like. Some of you mightn't have been around for that, but a lot of people have been around for that. They literally stole. They didn't literally. They did. They kept all my information, but took the link down that had me video on it, and that video had over 6,000 views. Right, so that's what sent them over the edge, anyway. Right, because they don't like Noel getting that many views when he talks his rumors. It's all right for them to put out bullshit. You know what I mean? I've actually put out legit stuff that's actually even being confirmed. They put out bullshit, but it's all right for them to put out the bullshit and go go under the radar and not be criticised. But as soon as I put out legit stuff and it even confirmed I'm called a liar, this, that, and the other, all of this nonsense, and to discredit me. And also the same person, Mr. Tardis, that had a problem when John Barrowman retweeted me, and he went bitching to him as well. Jesus, when I actually think about it, that bloke has really had a personal vendetta against me all of these years. It's actually pathetic. All because he decided to sit on the fence and not and to basically keep his nose clean in this fandom. Now he's let the guard slip a little bit and criticised the era, but as soon as he does that, then he's being attacked. So he's getting a taste of what I had to put up with. But the ironic thing is, the people that are attacking him now are the very same people that he had no problem sending my way when he retweeted my tweets, knowing what he was doing. Absolute nonsense coming out of these people. So the gaslighting. I mean, Cinnamon Toast Crunch said it's so much gaslighting. It's gone beyond gaslighting right now, mate. They're bending the fucking facts. Actually, no. I'll take that back. They're not bending the facts. They're outright lying. Right? These journalists live inside their own bubble. Remember, these journalists are not journalists; they're activists. So this particular journalist is into all of this nonsense that's going on. So he'll support it. So he'll spin it. I don't actually believe that he thinks that I mean, you're blind. You're blind. Lying about the facts to suit their narrative. Exactly. Well, we don't have to listen to them anymore. That's the thing. But what I hate is people like him. He was waiting on an opportunity to throw that article out again, right? And that's the thing. I can count how many times he's actually put that article out, because it's been sent to me a couple of times. So when I originally came across that article, he'd already posted it up once. And then within that time and all of that time that's passed, he has retweeted that article or put that article up several times since then. So he is looking for attention. He is trying to keep the negativity going by putting out an article like that. He wants to start it up again. He wants to turn people against other fans, right? Because listen to the way he words. Listen to the way he words the headline, right? So the headline of the article I read out already, right? Which was, despite the outrage, Doctor Who is less woke than it's been in decades. But then, when he put the link back up again, this is what he tweeted. The new Doctor Who trailer prompted a new wave of the usual suspects complaining that the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall era of the show was too woke or politically correct. In reality, it was the most conservative era of the series since 1986. Why did he feel the need to actually put that up? Right? Because the interesting thing that I would ask this journalist is, okay, you want to put that up, right? And you want to go after the fans that didn't like this era. Fair enough. You've set your stall, right? Okay, but explain to me why you won't call out these fans that threatened David Tennant's life or sent vile homophobic stuff towards RTD. Why aren't you writing an article about those fans? Why are you so consumed, like most that support you, like Mr. Tardis? Why is all still so consumed about the other side of the fandom and what our opinions and thoughts were on the Jodie Whittaker era? Why aren't you actually calling out the fan abuse that's happening right now? Right? You want to be a journalist, you want to expose nasty people in the fandom. Well, expose the people that sent death threats to David Tennant, sent vile homophobic stuff towards RTD because he brought back David Tennant. Why don't you concentrate on those people? Right? The same people that have turned this fandom into an absolute joke. Right? Where was your articles then for the last 5 years? And that goes for the rest of the media out there. Where was your articles calling this behaviour out? You were so quick to jump on fans like me who didn't like a female doctor, call us toxic and label us whatever you wanted and drag our names through the mud for the last 5 years. But what about the actual people that have done harm and damage to the fandom? Like the people that I've just spoke about. Why are you so consumed and your magazine so consumed with fans that didn't like the Whittaker era, the Chibnall era? Like, get over yourself. There's actual literal people out there sending death threats to David Tennant and RTD. We've put up screenshots, by the way, so it's there for everybody to see. Right? There's other fan accounts out there that are exposing these people and the nasty things they say. So where's your article in relation to that? See, the problem with this escapist magazine and the journalists that work for it, they actually have no intention of not seeking justice, that's the wrong word. They aren't out to look for the truth. Right? They aren't out to actually expose the real people. That magazine and everybody that's behind that magazine have their own personal opinions that are in line with most of what's going on with BBC and Hollywood and stuff like that, right? So they wouldn't dare ever do an article on people that have the same opinions as them, even though they're nasty pieces of crap that are going around and bullying the fandom. They won't call them out. They'd rather call people out who had a problem with a female doctor, or didn't like the acting, or didn't like the writing, or blame that was too political and in your face, and it was woke. But again, before this magazine tried to take me down, I did highlight that to the journalist and the editor what was really going on in the fandom, but they didn't want to hear it. Seems to be the same thing. They haven't changed since then, and they still want to push this narrative that we're toxic and we're this, that, and the other because we're coming out and we're being validated. See, this is the problem. We have been validated. Everything that we said was true. The ratings nosedived. Everything happened. But they still need to blame someone, and they won't blame Chris Chibnall, and he certainly won't blame Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker, because if you even see some of his articles, I mean, he's ridiculous, right? He's not going to do that. So rather than actually make the articles about who it should be and those type of fans, he'd rather go after people like us because we're the easier target. And because they have to keep up this narrative that there's toxic people in the fandom. You're right, there are toxic people in the fandom, but you've aimed your sniper rifle the wrong way. We're not your enemy. We're not the ones that are responsible for our toxic fandom. This fandom was fine before those little muppets came along. Ask yourself why the fandom became toxic. Again, you won't answer that question. The real answer is them, because they wouldn't let anybody in this fandom have opinions that wasn't the same as theirs, right? But you don't report on that crap. No, you don't. You stay silent. You'd rather call us out because we have been vindicated, because we've been proven right over these last 5 years, and it sticks up your crawl. And all these are crawl. This is why he's lashing out at David Tennant. And this is why magazines like that won't actually report on what's going on really in the fandom, the abusive behaviour of these people. Yeah, I mean, I tried to explain to that man the abuse that I was getting and stuff. They wouldn't listen. Lee, even at the time, was trying to get them aware of what was happening, but they didn't care because I didn't like Jodie Whittaker's doctor, right? And because I didn't like his article, and I dared, and I've said this and I've warned people. I've actually warned people, if you're ever covering if you're ever covering an article belong to them, you're putting your YouTube channel at risk. Because I was told after that happened to me, because some people came forward, that this is a tactic that this magazine uses all the time, and not just with Doctor Who, but with other franchises as well and other fandoms as well. They tried to silence me, but they didn't. They thought, oh, he won't appeal that. He won't appeal it, right? Because it kept me out of commission. Obviously, we did end up streaming on the second channel because I have a backup channel anyway, as you know. We have that second channel, but they thought you were being smart, right? They didn't think I'd appeal, and I did, right? Now, the first appeal wouldn't originally go through because I didn't give enough detail. So then I actually sat down and thought about what I had to say and what details I needed to give. And then I put the appeal in. And straight away, man, within a day, I had won. I won the appeal. And him, the journalist in question, and Mr. Tardis were all laughing and being smug because they thought they'd got me. Because remember, Mr. Tardis tried to have this channel taken down several times by using his own supporters to do it. Because he doesn't do his own dirty work, remember that. See, that's the difference. I get accused of sending people to people and all this. Listen, if I need anything done, Mrs. will tell you as well. If I need to do it, if I need anything done, I do it myself. I do my own dirty work. Yeah, right? I don't rely on other people to do my work for me, right? And as you have seen, I don't do that sort of thing anyway, because it's not a tactic that I've ever used, because it's been used against me. It's fucking horrible. And by the way, here's the difference between me and them, is that if you've all seen this, when I go after them directly, you know it's me that's going after them directly, because I don't hide behind fucking fake accounts, right? I stay on my own account and I do it because I'm not a coward. Yeah, you could say that again, Tim. I'm pretty sure he monitors YouTube comments and dislikes. I have comments removed by YouTube simply from naming him. I don't really care. Yeah, well, he's another gobshite as well. We won't get into him, but anyway, I think we've covered everything today anyway. But yeah, if there's any journalists listening to me, if you're actually interested in doing a real article on what's happened in this fandom the last few years, get in contact with me, and I'll put you in contact with other people as well that have been the victims of these people. And we will have evidence, screenshots, because we all collect their screenshots. You know, we're not stupid, you know, because these people try to deny that they call us all this sort of stuff. So if you're interested in actually exposing proper bullies and people that defame people in the name of defending Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall, if you're actually interested in doing an article that exposes these fans for what they truly are, well, then come and talk to me. But you want to stop with your propaganda, regurgitation of bullshit, It's the same article that you've shared again because you just want to remind this fandom. Remember, who's at fault for the Whitaker and Chibnall failure? Because you don't want to blame them. They're at fault, not us. And if they had wrote something proper, they wouldn't have lost the audience that they lost. So again, you're a disgrace for trying to take it out on people when the real culprits are Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker. Okay? And her fans, her stands, I should say, because they're the vilest people I've ever came across in any fandom. Any fandom. I've had to deal with them personally. Friends of mine in the chat had to deal with them personally. My wife has even had to deal with them. Absolutely disgusting, vile people. I'm not the only one. Celebrities out there connected to Doctor Who have also been affected by these people. So if you're interested in actually writing a proper article exposing the real problems with the Doctor Who fandom, get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with a lot of people that can tell you their stories. And I can tell you, you'd be in for some hell of an article. That article will be, I tell you, it exposes a lot. Right? But you won't be interested. Anyway, we are back tomorrow for Friday Night Contact at 9 p.m. UK time. We've got some DC stuff to talk about. Obviously, the actor Jeremy Rayner, he's actually doing well now. We're talking a little bit about that, but we've got loads of DC stuff to actually talk about. There's different things that we have to talk about DC. There's Ezra Miller. There's there's a latest edition of a DC Comics shows the Joker being pregnant and giving birth. We're going to talk about that as well, and there's other stuff to talk about. DC wants to know why they're in the state that they're in. Well, if you're going to do a copy of a comic and you're going to actually have the Joker, a man, pregnant, well, then you're going to lose your audience. We have to discuss that as well. And there's plenty of other stuff that we can discuss as well. Very, very interesting as well. The pop star, or the R&B star, or hip hop star, whatever you want to call her, Cardi B, has come out and said some interesting things. You know, as I normally do say, when it comes to pop stars and music people and actors and actresses and stuff, we shouldn't be really listening to them because they live in their own little bubble. What would they know about the real world? But she obviously has her finger on the pulse and she knows what she's talking about. She made a couple of videos there. We might briefly talk about that because she was, you know, telling Americans that they need to wise up, basically. What else have we got for you? We don't really want to get into politics, so we will just kind of briefly cover that. We won't be going into it because I don't want to cover politics, but it is interesting that some celebrities are starting to, you know, wise up to what's going on in the country, and some are willing to start speaking up now. And, you know, when celebrities do speak up, you know, some of the time, well, I know it was in the 90s and the early 2000s, celebrities spoke up, then, you know, maybe a few months or a year later, you know, they were found dead or something, or they had a mysterious accident or something like that. So celebrities coming out, we do always say, and I've often said, why don't celebrities, you know, they've got a huge platform to talk about all of this other nonsense, but why don't they actually come out about things that actually mean something to people out there, the ordinary person, connect with them? But most of the time, the reason why they don't speak up is because they're afraid to speak up. That's the thing. We never take that really into consideration. Celebrities that do speak up and expose a lot of shit, look what's happened to them in the past, right? Either their lives have been destroyed because there's some allegations being made about them, or they've ended up 6 feet under. So celebrities, that's the way I'm going to approach this. Should celebrities speak up more about the stuff that's going on, which is our government and stuff like that, and call it out and actually stop with the bullshit and going with the narrative and actually breaking from the narrative and speaking the truth of what they see. Because they see a lot more than we would because they live in that world, the celebrity world, elite world, they got money. So they see stuff going on that we wouldn't normally see. So again, I think it is interesting. Should celebrities, basically some are putting their life on the line to come out and tell us what's really going on, and you know, should we encourage that more? You know, I mean, she seems to have gotten a pretty good response on Twitter anyway. It's been it's been mostly positive. And it's not a person. Listen, even Nicki Minaj, I think last year was coming out with some stuff as well, and I was like, Jesus Christ, she's actually making sense. What's going on here? Because you only see them as their artist persona, and then you see them at award show, and they do Cardi B and obviously Nicki Minaj have had a bit of beef over the years. So you see all that going, and you don't really take them seriously. And that's the thing. Should we take celebrities seriously? Because think about it, they've been banging on now the last few years with their agendas and stuff like that. But should they actually be really? Because I've always said, I don't, if you're an actor, that's what you're paid to do. You're not paid to be an activist and to do that. Your job is to act. So it is an interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the two lads on the panel actually think tomorrow about that one. And Rob is off to watch Fury from the Deep. Enjoy it, mate. He says the black and white version, of course. Yes, you have to watch the black and white version. You're absolutely spot on. Again, we spoke about this, and I will do that stream on it because an interesting thing came up. Obviously, the 60th. Apparently, a couple of the classic episodes are going to be revamped, colorized, and stuff like that. I do want to get people on. I gave my opinion about it. If you haven't watched that video, you can go and check it out. It's on the channel. Go and check it out. You'll know what I'm talking about then. And then I'll be bringing people on to discuss it. So we'll be doing that next week because we're coming up to the weekend now. And I've got obviously tomorrow and then Saturday. We may do a Sunday. We'll see if we could say normally I take Sunday off and then we just start again on Monday. But if I don't do a Sunday, it'll be Monday. But I will be, but next week as well, just to let you know, this is why I haven't done the schedule yet. I'm going to be painting the sitting room because I have promised Cheryl it will be done in January. So I've got to kick into gear because she's all been moaning at me as well to get the bleeding sitting room done. So I'm finally going to start painting the sitting room. So in between when I'm taking breaks, I'll do a stream in between the breaks, and then it'll probably be the end of the month by the time you get the proper schedule of what streams are on what. But you still know every Friday is obviously, that's the one guaranteed stream that you all know, 9 o'clock. So yeah, UK time. So go and check that out. Right, we'll leave it there for now. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. As you can see, I'm straightforward. There's no bullshit with me. I'm just straight talking. Some people like it, some people don't. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But if you do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And thank you to all the new subscribers that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks. I don't know where they've come from, but all I just want to say is whoever you are, because we've seen one or two new faces in the chat, but we haven't seen you all. But I just want to say whoever has subscribed, thank you for subscribing. I hope you are enjoying the channel so far. We've got lots coming up this weekend. And of course, with all the stuff that's coming out on Doctor Who magazine, we'll have plenty to talk about over the next couple of days as well. Every Friday night, we concentrate mostly on Hollywood and stuff like that. And we're going to be focusing on DC tomorrow. There are other things to talk about, but DC will take up the majority of it because there is loads of different DC news that we can talk about, and some of it is absolutely shocking. And James Gunn really needs to wise up here. Someone actually said something to me last night, and I will bring this up tomorrow, and I'll say it to you guys so you can think on it and let me know what you think tomorrow. But someone said to me last night when we were talking about James Gunn that they actually believe that James Gunn is a Marvel insider that's gone in to destroy DC. Now, if you had said that to me when James Gunn was originally announced, I would have laughed you out of the building and said, yeah, listen, Schneider, crybaby, just go off and cry somewhere else, right? I would have, right? But when I actually think about what's happened since, right, and the decisions that are now remember, this is all speculation. We have no confirmation from James Gunn yet. He has confirmed certain things, but then he's a bit fuzzy on the details, and people are still confused, right? But apparently, there is going to be a deadline. They're going to come out and tell us what their plan is. So we'll all have to wait and see. So remember, everything that I'm telling you is obviously based off stuff that other people out there claiming the sources have come to them and all of this, insiders and all. You know yourselves, the usual thing, right? So if they're making the decisions that these people are claiming that they're making, well, if DC was in a bad place now, it's going to be in a worse place in a year's time. And I got thinking about that comment, and I was like, is that actually possible? Would James Gunn do that? Would Kevin Feige and James Gunn come up with this grand plan to try to take down DC? And I was kind of thinking about it. And if you see what's happened, you could probably think that is the case. But then I thought about it a bit more. And I was like, well, that kind of makes no sense that they bring in James Gunn just to do that, right? Or as a plan. Because DC is already in a state as it is. It's in an awful state right now. Its chances of actually recovering from this right now, I'd say, are slim. Even more so now if James Gunn is making the decisions that he's making. But are those decisions being made because he is an insider or a double agent, if you like? So we'll discuss that tomorrow. But think on that. What do you think? Do you think that that we've heard it in the past in Hollywood that other studios have sabotaged other studios by having insiders in there, right? It's happened before, right? It's not a thing that has not happened. It has. But think on it. Do you think James Gunn is capable of being a Marvel spy, but obviously getting DC money now? I it sounds far fetched, but then when you hear what's happened since, it kind of makes you think. So think on that tomorrow. Let me know. Thinking has posted something for you in the Twitter private chat, I guess. Right. Well, I better. It must be important if you are telling me to check my Twitter account because that doesn't normally happen. I'll have to check on my computer because I can't. I don't even know where my bleeding phone is. Where did I put my phone? Oh, everything is all over the place. Right, hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I hope this isn't bad news or something, man. I hate bad news. Oh, right. Here we go. In the private chat. In the private chat. For those who don't have the latest magazine yet. So there's an interview with RTD. Why is my computer acting up now? Come on, stop that nonsense. I won't be able to read this. So sure, I can hardly see it on my computer. But in my 4 years as showrunner, I never had an office. That's quite balmy looking back. There's a photograph of David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and Piers Wenger and Charlotte Moore. Hello, faithful reader. I have to be careful. I can't read this out, but I'm straining to see it. But there is an interview, but I can't read it out unfortunately because it's in the magazine. BBC have already hit me because I put the photographs of the Tardis up. So I can't take another risk on it, unfortunately. But interesting. But it's a letter from RTD. See again, this is what I'm missing out on. Sorry, someone just tried to tell me that Ronaldo had a great World Cup. Yeah. Same things. Yeah, Ronaldo fanboy. Ronaldo did not have a great World Cup. Messi had a great World Cup. Ronaldo didn't. Oh yeah, and we've also got some Marvel news to talk about as well. I forgot to actually add. So Dan Slott is blocking everybody because he's had a problem with people who have criticized She-Hulk. And apparently, his respect when people have criticised it being unfaithful to the Marvel source material, and he's responded by saying, "And I'm saying for the record, it is the most comic book accurate show in the MCU." So he's defending it, and he's blocking people left, right, and centre. We've had a few of them in the Doctor Who fandom as well. So we will be briefly talking about that as well. As I said, we got plenty to talk about on Friday Night Contact. Come and join myself, Chris, and Lee for that. As I said, we are here every Friday for you guys. We love streaming together, I have to say. And we're really enjoying it, and it'll be interesting to get to the reaction from the lads tomorrow on it. I did, yeah, he said South Africa instead of Saudi Arabia. Cheryl told me today because actually since he's left, I've actually had no interest. Um, the way he left the club, he's even split with his agent now. His agent didn't even agree with the interview. So this was just Ronaldo doing it all by himself. And seriously, I think he's tainted his image, to be quite honest with you. Again, when he did, I saw snippets of the press conference because people, obviously, I'm a United fan, where he said that his work in Europe was done. But yet, when he did the Piers Morgan interview, that's not what he said. So he's a bit of a hypocrite as well. Ronaldo just can't accept, unfortunately, that his legs have gone and that his career is done. He should have retired gracefully. He's one of the best footballers that I've seen. He's not up there with Pele or Maradona, but he's certainly below them in the second tier, I would say. I'd put Messi just slightly above Ronaldo now because of what he done at the World Cup. But we'll never see the likes of a Messi or Ronaldo again. Two players that were consistent, I mean, we will see players like that again, but not like those two. They were completely different animals of their era of football, and they both achieved quite a lot. And Ronaldo won the European Championship. Messi won the World Cup. They both won major titles now. Obviously, they won the Copa America, whatever you call it, Copa America. I don't really count that, but they do. But Ronaldo, he's just ruined it near the end for me. I'm disappointed in him. So I haven't been able to, because I was delighted. Look, a lot of fans didn't want him back, and I knew there was a bit of baggage with him because even the Juventus dressing room were saying he was a disruption. But I thought this is a guy that can get you 20 goals a season. He's worth bringing back, even if it gets us up the table a little bit. And in fairness to him, he scored 23 goals for us in the end. So, and I mean, he scored a hat trick on his debut when he came back. And I mean, I love him. I love what he did as a kid for United. He left us as a kid, grew up a man in Real Madrid, and won everything there was to win. And then obviously he went to, what was it, Juventus next, wasn't it? Then he came to us. So, I mean, look, I'll always be grateful for what he did for us. But the way he behaved at the end there, it's going to take me a while to forgive him, to be quite honest with you. Because I love the man. I'm not a Ronaldo fan. I'm a Man United fan first. But I loved what he did in the game, just like what Messi did. Both legends. It's just sad to see it's gone all right for Messi. Messi didn't have a first good year in France, but he near the end there he started picking up the form, and then he's played well since. Ronaldo had that first good season for us where he's banging in the goal, but even then you could see his legs were gone, but he still managed to get us the goals. It's just sad. It's sad because even in some very European games, the team tried so desperately for him to get a goal because they do all idolize him, like we all did. He's a superstar, man. He is. I'm not. He's a modern day superstar. He was like when David Beckham, because he was a bit of a poser and a superstar back then. David Beckham was that kind of big celebrity footballer. Ronaldo became the next one, whether he liked it or not, and so did Messi because they were so good at what they did. But it is sad, and I know people are probably sick of me talking about football. I'll stop now, but I just the Ronaldo thing is going to take me a while to forgive him, but I do hope he does well in Saudi Arabia. Again, I can get the country right, Ronaldo. Uh, but I do hope he does well in Saudi Arabia. But apparently, his first game could be a friendly against Messi's team in some feckin' match that he was supposed to play, but because he forgot that he actually had a 2 game suspension uh, in the Premier League, so that's carried over. So he couldn't even play because I think they've played. He couldn't even play, or they're playing tonight or something. He can't even play that game because he's suspended. So yeah. Anyway, he's a legend. He'll always be a legend. He's not, as I said, nobody comes close to Pele and Maradona and players of that ilk. They're a tier below, but he was brilliant for Real Madrid. I'm not going to lie. He had a brilliant last season for us. He scored some crucial goals throughout his career. I think Man United fans do actually forget that, though. They're so quick to bash him. Um, I was angry with him. I thought when he did the interview, I even said, "Why did you do it?" It made no sense, but it does make sense now. I think the man personally knew that his legs were gone, and I don't think he wanted to embarrass himself that way in football in terms. So I think he did that interview to make sure that the club would sack him, so then he could go to maybe. So I don't even think he would have done it in America. That's why he went to Saudi Arabia. It's sad. But I'm going to leave the football because I am going now. But thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks again for watching this stream. If you didn't catch the stream I did yesterday, go and check it out. And we'll be back here tomorrow, 9 p.m. Myself, Chris, and Lee will be here for Friday night contact. And then on Saturday night is Noel Clark, actor, writer, director, also in Doctor Who, as you all know, as Mickey Smith. He will be joining us on Saturday. Again, same time, 9 p.m. UK time. So mark that in your calendars, folks. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for watching. And that's me now. I'm off to watch Daniel does some FIFA stream. So I'm going to see if he's streaming, and I'm gonna go in and take a look at his progress because he's he got FIFA 23, so it's been great to watch. So go and sub to Daniel's channel as well. I'll see you later. Bye.